What is going on, y'all? It's Gia, representing Gia's World, and I'm going to be talking about sexual abuse and sexual assault, how it's viewed in our society, how it's dealt with, and the repercussions and consequences. We live in a society that pretty much doesn't care about people in general. And society is what? Society is you and I. Society is humanity. It's how humans treat each other, how humans function and go about day-to-day lives, right? So we live in a society where humans tend not to care about other humans. So when we talk about sexual assault and sexual abuse, it's no different. Humans tend not to care about other humans. So you have this rape culture, which basically is this culture where it's okay to exploit and physically abuse and sexually abuse and assault people. And it's a power struggle. It's about me or him or her being in charge, being in power. And people use, rape, molestation, and sexual assault and sexual abuse as a form of power. They're conquering this person sexually or physically, intimidation, this whole conquer atmosphere of I gotta conquer and I gotta exploit you and I gotta hurt you to prove that I'm superior and you're inferior. That's that whole rape culture in a nutshell. And this society, especially for women, it's for women and children, it's a deadly society because we're living in a society where women and children are seen as subordinate individuals. And not to say that men can't be sexually assaulted, abused, molested, raped, because it happens to men and boys too. But once again, we live in a society where if you're deemed subordinate, you're deemed submissive, you're deemed oppressed, you're deemed a minority, you're deemed inferior, that group will be treated as such. So basically, we live in a society where sexual assault, sexual abuse is okay. But it's sad. Because it's like this double whammy where 1 minute we all know rape is wrong, but when someone comes out and says, hey, I was raped by her or by him or by a group of people, nobody believes that person. And in fact, that person who's raped or sexually assaulted, abused, molested, ends up being portrayed as the perpetrator, as in it was their fault for them being raped or them being sexually assaulted or abused. And we're seeing it with the Bill Cosby situation, the R. Kelly situation, the Duggar situation, where the eldest son molested his own sister and his parents sat up there and defended him for molesting his own sister. And we're also dealing with it now with the Subway spokesman, Jared, who lost all that weight by eating Subway sandwiches, supposedly. And guess what? Here he is. He's got a whole bunch of child pornography. What is going on? But you got all these people that will defend these individuals, I mean, so many people in the black community, R. Kelly didn't do it. Oh, Bill Cosby didn't do it. That was 30 years ago. What does that have to do with now? And people deserve second chances. And you got the Duggar family supporting their son who molested their daughter. You know what I mean? You got people, Jared helped me lose weight. Who cares if he's watching kitty porn? There's people who support this. There's people who defend this. And then you wonder what's wrong with our society. Then you have all these people. Well, people be lying. We don't know if he or she really was molested or sexually assaulted, abused, or raped. Or she was asking for it. He was asking for it. What is asking for it? Or she shouldn't have been wearing that. He shouldn't have been wearing that. So you mean clothes provoked you to act like an animal? But we're supposed to be civilized humans. We're supposed to be the most civilized animal on the planet. I think that's a bunch of bull. But I'm not even going to go there. Sexual assault and sexual abuse is very real. Rape culture is very real. And we live, and that's the thing. And then we wonder why, when sexual assault and abuse happens, many victims, many people who suffered, do not come to the police. They don't tell their parents. They don't tell their family members. They don't tell their friends. They don't tell anybody. Okay? A lot of people who are sexually assaulted and abused keep it locked away deep down in the back of their brain, in the back of their mind, because they know nobody's going to believe them. And they know that their perpetrator is going to get away with it. And it's like, you know, and then you wonder why we have so much issues with sexual assault, sexual abuse, why these things continue to happen in our society, because we as a society have deemed it okay for it to happen. And we've deemed it that, guess what? We will defend the rapist. We will defend the child molester. We will stand up for the perpetrator. And we will villainize the victim. Right? This is real. You know, and in the black community, this is going to be a long video. In the black community particular, I feel like with sexual assault and sexual abuse, it's swept underneath the rug. You know, it's seen as something that's not serious, it's not important. As I stated in my Bill Cosby video, you have a lot of people who, we all know that uncle or that aunt or that cousin or that grandparent, you know, or that neighbor or that family friend that is known for touching kids, doing stuff with kids, doing inappropriate things with children, but instead of calling the police, you know, instead of having that person arrested and sent to jail or getting some treatment for them because they might have psychological and mental issues themselves, they probably were victims of sexual assault and abuse when they were children, and that can be why they're doing it to other kids now that they're adults. We don't know. But instead of getting help for that person or getting the police involved, we sit up and we brush it underneath the rug. And we just tell folks, well, don't let your kids go over so-and-so house. You got to watch out for so-and-so. He or she is known for doing it. What kind of mess is that? You know, there's so many situations in the black community where an uncle or an aunt has sexually assaulted a nephew or a niece or a family member, and instead of calling the police or anything, it was kind of like this unspoken situation in the family. We don't talk about that. And then the victim has to grow up knowing that nobody stood up for them, nobody protected them, nobody got justice for them. Because half the time when these situations happen, you're a kid. There's so many people that were molested as children, it's sickening. It's like an everyday thing. It's like it's normal now for people to be molested. Like that's how sick it has gotten in today's society. And but we sweep it under the rug. Like right now, you got all these people standing up for Bill Cosby in the black community. Oh, they trying to bring a black man down. The dude has been drugging women and having sex with them while he drugged them for 46 years. He brought himself down by participating in that barbaric bullshit. And then what's so crazy about it is, this is how you know it's really not about sex the majority of the time. It's about power and how I can exploit you and I can manipulate you and I can have power over you. Because Bill Cosby, hello, he had money. He's famous. You know? And he wasn't quote unquote unattractive back in the day, so it didn't really make sense for him to be sitting up here raping and drugging women. He didn't have to do any of that. He could have just been himself and probably would have had intercourse with that woman, right? He didn't have to go through all of that. That's how you know something psychological, something mental is wrong with him. But you know, no telling what he went through as a child. You don't know if he was molested either. But that's the thing. Because we don't talk about these things in our community, and we don't want to talk about how people can be mentally ill, psychologically going through some issues, we don't get the police involved, we don't never want to solve these issues, it gets pushed under the rug, and then it keeps happening, you know? And my question is to all the people that are out there defending sickos, what would you do if that was your daughter, your son, your nephew, your niece? What would you do? That was your child, and they were molested. They were raped. They were sexually assaulted. They were sexually abused. Somebody put a roofie in your son or daughter's drink and had their way with them. What would you do? I really want to know, because a lot of y'all are so quick to defend sexual predators and wrongdoers. What would you do if that happened to somebody that you loved and cared about?